Hi folks, it's Tom, your frugal prepper. So I am getting ready to put plants in the ground. I'm fighting asthma and a bad back. So right now it's the power of Motrin compels me. But I've got my wires in. Now, last year, or I should say year before last because I skipped a year. Last time, I had these a lot farther out, like at 4 inches. These wires from the edge. I couldn't get my hoe down, so right now they're at like 7.5, 8 inches. That gives me enough room to put my hoe down the side to clean out weeds. But I'd asked a question on the Mittleider group, and I came out here and was like, well, I just got to get to work and do something. I can't sit around and wait for a reply. As soon as I went back in, somebody said it's supposed to be 10.5. I don't know why it is, but the Mittleider Gardening book is pretty good. It's got a lot of information in there that you need to know. But then there's just obvious things that are just missing. And I thought, well, I have the old book, I'm going to get the new one. There's still very obvious things, especially in the grow box, the double wide 4-foot grow box area, that are just missing from the book. So, oh well. This is what it is. My back's not going to let me move them in at this point. It's about done. So I am going to get to planting these plants. Got some supersonics, some beefsteaks, and see, I had a couple Amish pastas, but those are determinate. Those are going to go down the side of the house. And just a assortment of peppers. So all my indeterminate tomatoes will go 9 inches apart all the way down this side. And then the other side is going to be half cantaloupe, and the other half will be peppers, and they'll be staggered in and out every 12 inches. And then we'll get those in. I will throw a little nitrogen down for the transplants and water it in. And we'll be off to the races. So a lot of people want to know what kind of string to get, and there's some kind of poly special baler twiny stuff. I use this blue stuff. I still have a bunch left over. I've got the rest of the bucket somewhere, but that is wire pulling string by Ideal that you can get at Home Depot. This stuff still looks like new. I gardened with it one year, and it sat in the garden outside in the weather for another whole year. It doesn't look any worse for wear. It's very strong. It's thick enough that it doesn't cut into the plants. Works really well. Maybe that other string's cheaper, I don't know, but I had a bucket of that, and that's what I use. There's a green kind too. That's a different brand. It would probably work. I don't know. But that's what I had, and that's what I use. So when I run out of that, I'll probably look at getting the other stuff. And then most of the time they use like a bare galvanized little 16 or 18 gauge wire across the bottom. Probably some of that mechanics wire stuff would work. I just happen to have a big giant spool of this 14 gauge electrical wire. It's copper in the middle with a pink insulation. Again, you can reuse this year after year. I don't nail it down, I just throw some staples in it. I'll show you a little closer here maybe, if I can get out of my shadow there. But I just put some staples in it right there to hold it down. And then you can take that loose from the grow boxes on the edge and just pull all the stakes up. And then the next year, if you leave them stapled to your stakes, you can just put your stakes back down in, or your next planting. And they'll already be spaced right, you know, just measure them out from the edge and put them down in. When I tore up the garden at the old place, it was so overgrown with weeds that I just kind of had to tear that all apart, so I kind of redid it this time from not gardening in it last year. My wires on my T-frames, a couple of them were too short, so I just put a patch in them right there, patched on another piece on these two, and that'll work fine. So I'm ready to start getting tomatoes in the ground, and I'll keep you updated as I come along on this project. But for those of you that watch my channel that aren't familiar with Mittleider, this is what we do. Is you see this string comes down here, this wire. That's where our bottom of our string will tie to, and then our plants are alternate to these two wires at the top, going up vertically to maximize our light and airflow. Kind of a big V shape, so that we can plant closer together and still get high yields. So I will talk to y'all later. This is Tom, your frugal prepper. Okay, so I figured I would show this real quick. A lot of people use, they make a special marker stick. I use a good old-fashioned tape measure to get my plants about 9 inches apart. Because my wire's not in quite as far as it should be, I'm going to plant my plants just to the inside of the wire this year. And these will be non-alternating for these tomatoes. They'll just go in a straight row at 9 inches apart. And in the Mittleider planting guide is what tells us that. So what we've done here is we've dug us a little hole in the clay, and then we're going to take our plant out and just doing as minimal amount of disturbing to the roots. Set it down in there gently. A lot of places will tell you, oh, you want to mess with those roots and fluff them up. No, that increases the chance of transplant shock. It doesn't really stimulate root growth or anything, and that's why plants will die when you transplant them. I'm just going to gently pack the clay, break it up a little bit, pack some of my clay soil in around here, and give it a little bit of a pat to help seed it in. But I don't really want to disturb these roots any more than I have to. Just like that, it's planted. See where this very bottom little set of leaves is? I'm going to pinch those off because they are too close to the soil. I don't want any leaves touching the soil. That promotes disease. And I'm just going to move down the row every 9 inches and do that same thing. And then I'll put some nitrogen down and water these in. Okay, so here we've got the bed planted out. So as you can see here, I've got the strings up for the tomatoes already. And what we'll do is each tomato will grow up a string. And then we alternate with each plant to this side and that side. And that maximizes our light penetration in the top and our airflow to prevent disease, funguses and stuff from growing as easily. So I think there's 24 tomato plants down this side, something like that. I don't know, I haven't actually counted yet. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14. So there's 28 tomato plants down through here. And then there's about 20 some pepper plants over here. Now, if these get big enough that I need to, I will tie a string down and support these as well. We'll just see how it goes. Sometimes with peppers you don't need to, and some of them really get big, and you don't want them to blow over in the wind. So rather than staking them, I'll just tie a string, wrap it around them. I got the T-frames there to do it, so it's a lot easier. I started out here. These are sweet red bells from that label on down to here, and we get to the big red bells. There's 3 of those, and then sweet banana pepper, but the last 4 are a surprise. They handed them to me like, here, you want these free? The tag got lost. We're not sure what kind they are, so we'll see. And so here is 15 cantaloupe seeded. That's all the seeds I had left from my heirloom cantaloupe, so I'm hoping this works out because I need seeds. And then I put some butternut squash on the end just to fill in that space. I think there's 4 butternut squash plants. It'll fill in the space, and I like butternut squash, and it won't cross-pollinate with my cantaloupe. Otherwise, I'd probably do some cucumbers, but truthfully, I have enough pickles canned for a while, and cucumbers can cross-pollinate with cantaloupe, and I'm saving my seeds. So, but that's how we do it. I've gone ahead and watered them a little bit earlier because it was getting pretty parchy out here in this clay soil. And now I'm going to go ahead and take some nitrogen and just put a little bit of plant chocolate. That's what we call nitrogen. A little bit of the 2300 down through here, and water that in by all the transplants, not by the seeds. The seeds won't get fed until they're growing and well established. But we'll start the weekly feed on the rest of these plants right away. And we'll water them in with a little nitrogen. And we'll put the nitrogen back a ways, and then we'll just hit it with the water and water it over so that it dilutes it and doesn't burn the plant. But I'll back up here so you can get a better view. But that's the first Mittleider bed is in and planted and ready to grow some food. I just don't know that I'm going to have time this year with all of the automotive stuff I have to do and things to put in the second bed beside it. But that's an accomplishment. Maybe closer to the spring I'll get that extra bed put in and put in some fall potatoes or fall kale or something like that. But I don't think I'm going to be doing it right now. My back can't take much more. This whole garden bed today getting planted and ready is brought to you all by the power of Motrin and Tylenol. So we'll see if I can walk tomorrow. Alright folks, that's it for now. I'm going to put this nitrogen on, and then I am ready to get inside and relax. And oh, you know, one other thing on the seeds, when we plant those, what we do is they're bigger seeds, so they go about 3/4 of an inch to an inch down in the soil. See if I can peel this back a little bit, show you. And then we make a little hole and we cover it with sand. Just the Quickcrete all-purpose concrete sand. Doesn't have concrete in it, it's just sand. And then we put the burlap over the top of it. That keeps the birds out of it, helps keep it moist and protected until they sprout. Then we'll take the burlap off. And if the butternut squash sprout first or whatever, then I'll uncover those, or vice versa, and leave the burlap on the rest of them. And that's just one piece of burlap folded over. You can buy it at Lowe's or Home Depot or wherever. Get a big roll of it. So that's all for now, folks. I will talk to you later. This is Tom, your Frugal Prepper.